All my subjects are all my classes are the same. They'd be sewing, knitting, crafts, and crochet. They're all the same subjects, different groups. The facilities are dreadful.
Okay.
But it's comfortable enough. But it's dreadful for doing anything outside of our usual box. It's a little annex to the nuns' house that they allow for community use. It's sort of like a little sitting room, so it's lovely and cosy for the participants. We have a coffee table and comfortable chairs, and we sit around and they do their needlework and we can chat, and we have a kitchen. So for our normal purposes it's fine, but you need to do anything like flip chart or writing, you just haven't got it. The learning outcomes was me sitting in the floor, in between a circle of them with my flip chart on the floor. But it's manageable, it's not designed for more academic pursuits than sitting around, and it's non-threatening. It was much easier than saying, look, we need to do some work with paper today, so we're moving someplace else. So it was as well to adapt to what we had, and it was fine. But we managed. I said, you have to show what you're doing and that there's an appreciation and a need for it and a value to it in the communities, because you're not submitting exams, so nobody knows unless we submit stuff like this from time to time. And they've gone on with it. And they enjoyed it once they started chatting. It was just getting them prodded to move away from their little comfort box. Well, I brought all the paperwork and the chart and the handout with the feedback on it, and I was showing it to them, and I said, one other thing was anonymity. They were all saying, and what do we have to sign and what do we have to write? And I said, you don't have to sign anything, you don't have to write any more than you want to. I said, if you don't want to write at all, you could keep knitting and tell me what to write and I'll be your recorder. But I found that reassurance was important, that there'd be no names needed and no writing if they didn't want to. The answers are wanted, but I'll write them if need be. So that's fine. What do you expect to gain from it? And they started talking and said things like, oh, get away from the husband, get out of the house. And I said, they're all outcomes you want to get out. I said, we can put better words on it, like you want to meet with the community more, you want to socialise more, you want to communicate more with your community. And started the ball rolling, they just started talking. Others started saying, well, I've never been able to read a pattern, or I'd love to make, I've been doing little bits of nonsense of samples, I want to make something real. And they just started talking about the things they'd like to achieve. I said, that's exactly what I want. I said, give me sentences and I'll write them down on the flip chart. So we threw a few sentences together on what they'd been saying. I said, that's quite acceptable, that's all. I said, it doesn't have to be, I want to get a degree in this. I said, just what you want out of it. So they're happy enough with that. Well, I'll say it to them obviously the week before. I said, I'll show them the questionnaire things again. And I'll say, I'll be bringing these next week and you'll be asked to take a little bit of time out and fill these in. So make your minds up, bring your biros, bring your mind made up that you're going to be asked to put aside your work for a little while and get these filled up. And it's just so long as they know that they don't come expecting a huge amount of their craft work done for one day. But they'll still get plenty. Well, they were very interested to know where it goes, what happens to the information. And I said, well, other VECs will be interested in your experiences, and said our VEC will be sharing it with others around the country, and it was developed here and you're helping in the ground, just breaking the ground with something new that other VECs are very interested in, so they're quite pleased with that. Well, they have, a lot have said now, well, I never really thought, they'd say things like, well, I never really thought I couldn't finish a child's cardigan. I could knit little simple squares, now I can make a shape. Or now I can read a pattern, I never thought I'd be able to. And with the help of the tutor and the group. And they said it's nice that there's always help. And they said now I pick up a phone in the middle of the week if I was stuck on something, and either phone Colette or phone even one of the others in the group and look for help. Said I wouldn't have had the confidence to do that, that's one. That's one lady in particular who was very housebound, and now she would ring any one of us at the drop of a hat. And that's a huge breakthrough for her. And she has admitted it, you know, that she wouldn't have dreamt of phoning somebody for help with something she was doing. So they talk about things like that, and that they wouldn't have really thought of. So they're enjoying it. It's a bit of a nuisance in my subject area that people come to do crafts, they want to be doing things, and they will resent anything that says, yeah, put down that now, you're not going to get that finished today because I need you to do this. That will always take a little bit of coaxing, whereas I could see somebody doing a different subject like personal development or time for me, where there's a lot of reflection and writing involved. It's not drawing them away from their topic quite so much. So it will always take a little bit of tact and diplomacy to get them into it. The discussion part is great because you can let them do their relaxing handwork while you tell them all about it. Just the recording will take a little bit of coaxing, but like I said, they all know at this stage it'll be expected of them. So I'm sure it'll vary a lot depending on the subject that's been dealt with. Not so much the reflection as the setting the outcomes. When somebody new would come to a group, I'd always set out, say, what are you here for? What would you like to be able to do? What can you do? Where can we go from here? What would you like me to be able to help you with? And what would you like the group to be able to do for you? So we'd always do that. I've been doing that all along. It's just not quantifying it at the end as a reflection. Not so much maybe. There would always be informal discussion. Like when you finish up, we'll say for a Christmas break, people will always chat about what they've achieved, but in a more informal way. Just never asked to record it. The main one would be what I learned, the hardest lesson is not to introduce it without talking about it first. Without producing any paperwork, have it discussed and chat about it, ask for any questions, and I did get quite a few questions that people were obviously concerned about. So to get all that out of the way before producing any paperwork, and that was the main one. It made it easy this time. There was lots of discussion.